So, Witcher 3's next-gen upgrade is a complete game changer. I was able to play it early via a copy sent over by CD Projekt Red, so huge thanks to them. And I will say I was blown away by how fresh the game feels because many of the changes they added in the new update. There's also new content that comes in the form of 5 new armor sets, including 3 for Geralt and a couple for other characters. Also 4 new swords, some of which come from new, very well made side quests that we're gonna cover in this video. So if you enjoy it at any point, a thumbs up on it would be awesome, and let's get started. Now, as soon as you log in the game, you're going to want to head over to the My Rewards section in the main menu, click on it, and yeah, force the game to sign you in so that you can get access to your new rewards. This includes the Armor of the Thousand Flowers and the Swords of the Thousand Flowers, among a couple more. Once you do that, head over to Vizima. You do have to progress through the main game until you visited Vizima for the first time, talk to Emperor Emir, and then also got out of the area, because once you do that and reach Velen, you're going to get a new letter from Yennefer, and she's gonna tell you where you can find these brand new rewards. Basically, if you don't want to read all of that, all you have to do is to head over back to Vizima, and right here from the throne room, you're going to want to take it to the left side. Go through one of these hallways, then turn on to the right and enter the first room to the left side. You're going to see this big fireplace with the war map room behind it, so just go inside, and onto the left side again, right below this window, is where you will find the chest with a couple of the new armor sets, as well as the 2 new swords, or well, 4, because there's 2 different sets for them. So let's talk about them a little bit. One of the first armors you're gonna get access to is the new Thousand Flowers armor set. This comes in with a ton of resistances to a lot of the poison effects and pierce damage and bludgeoning, so it can be good for defenses, and it also looks really nice. If you're very early on, this might be one of the best until you get some of the other schematics that you can hunt for in Velen. I really like this set, the aesthetics overall, and the fact that it's legendary, so you don't have to waste too many resources until much later. But you also get 4 new swords from the same container. One of them is the Sword of a Thousand Flowers, and also the White Widow one. So the advantage of these is the fact that they both give you bonus experience from killing monsters, also human and inhuman enemies, depending on which one you pick. So obviously this is going to be good early on, gives you extra XP, you can level up much faster, and they also look pretty nice, not going to lie. I kinda wish that photo mode was not broken on the PC to show it better, but they do look good, and they also deal nice damage early on. Another set of weapons that might be a bit better for DPS are the new 9-tailed, in this case, katanas. You're getting 2 of them, one for human enemies, one for inhuman enemies. So basically, their main advantage is the fact that their critical chance can either cause bleed effects or even dismember enemies. They look something like this, by the way. Full-on katanas, they deal more damage, good early on, and they look really nice, so not much to talk about there. In any case, here comes the even better armor set, and this is the White Tiger set, also the one that you get from Emperor Emir. It's from the same container, so you don't really have to do anything, and the main advantage over here is that this one also comes in with some nice defensive stats, also some bonuses to vitality. So something that could work early on. It looks very oriental, comes in with some nice options over there for the shoulders. You have all of those nice red accents, and I think it works really well with the previously 2 katanas to kind of create this build that looks awesome and also has functionality. But there's more armor sets in the game that you can get, and before going to the best armor sets, there's a couple more for additional characters. So as I've said, other characters also get armor sets, and one of them is the newly added Netflix-inspired Nilfgaardian armor set. You do, by the way, have to activate this in the game's options menu, and once you do that, you're going to see all Nilfgaardian forces, including generals and important characters, wear this armor instead of the usual one. Yes, it looks kind of goofy, but I like the aesthetic. I like the more darker version of the Nilfgaardian forces, and pretty much everyone will have it, including the roaming patrols and everything else in between. There's a second one that you can apply for Dandelion this time around. You do have to reach Novigrad, by the way, before you see it, but it changes his whole attire and even like the face and the hairstyle to the one from the actor in the Netflix series. I kind of like it. Looks a bit more subdued than his normal attire from the base game, and I kind of like the whole aesthetic. In any case, there's one final armor set that you can get from the new update, and it's this one, also from the Netflix show, in my opinion, one of the best. It also changes a lot of things for Geralt, including his medallion, and you get it from a side mission that pops in Velen called In the Eternal Fire's Shadow. You have to head over right here at the pit area around the center part of it, and you're going to notice that there's an Eternal Fire Priest that kind of seems scared. I'm not going to spoil anything about this quest. You just have to know that you have to do it, and at the end of it you're going to get the schematics for the new armor set. I do recommend, however, to explore everything you can in the area, and also advise you that there might be different endings to the side quest depending on which decision you took. No matter what happens, you're always going to get this armor set, so here is how it looks, by the way. First, you're going to get its schematics, so you will need some high-end materials to craft it at an armorer, but it's totally worth it because the Forgotten Woven set is pretty awesome. As I've said, it looks exactly like the one worn in the Netflix show, even comes with the same medallion, and in my opinion is one of the most sexiest I've seen out of all armor sets so far. It also comes with some nice bonuses for sign intensity, including for Arden and Irden, and there's some nice bonuses in there too if you want to go with a more spell-centric build. And overall, I think you're not going to have much trouble with it. Even more so, you can fully upgrade this at a Grandmaster to make it scale more up with higher levels. Now, the version you're seeing here is the PC one, which gave me the chance to just test out the max graphical settings, especially the new ray tracing mode, because that's the one that will change the aesthetic the most, even though without it, you're still going to get a huge graphical improvement over what we had up until that point. But ray tracing brings it to a whole nother level. The game was already cool looking, but now you're getting all of these reflections, better illuminations, ray trace shadows, and it just brings everything to a whole nother level that we did not have before. Most noticeable is going to be outside in the environment, especially near sources of water, as water effects have also been upgraded, especially once you pop off those ray tracing options. You don't need to fully bring them up, by the way. Here's a comparison with a non-RTX version. As you can see, the water still looks very good, though you are losing some of the environmental reflections, especially up there in the distance. But yeah, you are at least getting double the frame rates if you're losing the ray tracing. Probably my favorite thing about this was the fact that global illumination was a lot more realistic, but also made the shadows a lot more soft. Previously, you would get a lot of these awkward scenes with very hard shadows, which made some of the details hard to distinguish. Well, with the next-gen upgrade, that was fixed, and it's even better looking once you activate ray tracing, assuming you do have the hardware for that. In terms of the gameplay changes, by far the most impactful has to be the newly added over-the-shoulder camera, which brings Witcher 3 on par with some of the other open-world and third-person RPGs out there in the modern age. Especially since now the camera is closer to the character, Geralt is also placed a bit further to the left side. So what this means is that there's going to be some drastic changes to how you approach combat, how you interact with your environment, and how you look around at things. Personally, I like this more, but if you feel like the central view that we had before this update is better for you, you can always go back in the settings and revert it back. In this case, it would also make combat, especially one-on-one or versus singular enemies, a lot easier in my opinion, because now you have a much better view of the enemies ahead and Geralt's body no longer blocks it. But then again, attacks coming from the back, so outside of the line of sight, might be a bit more troublesome after the new update, so there is a small trade-off to be made. In terms of some other changes, obviously another big one was the fall damage. Previously, you could jump from very small heights and still get almost one-shotted. But in the new update, that was very well tuned, so much so that now you can jump from very big heights and not get damaged absolutely at all. In this case, we got an example right here before the update. As you can see, it got a pretty significant chunk out of my HP just from dropping from a small little ledge here. But in the new update, there's no damage at all. So I'm really glad about this change. In terms of combat and AI changes, I haven't seen too much with the exception of, well, just the third-person camera and how you approach combat, but I did notice that certain groups of enemies seem to have gotten patrol routes. In the previous version of the game, most of the enemy groups were pretty static, kinda stuck in the same location, and very rarely traveled. In the new update, I immediately noticed that many of them now travel for very long distances and really go out of their way to attack groups of other enemies or humans very far away. So much so that you now have to actually chase them for considerable distances before even catching up. And I tested this with several save files, and every single time it triggered on the new save in the new version of the game, but never in the old version in the Game of the Year edition. Another change that I'm not sure was there previously is the fact that now the camera and the game slows down time whenever you're on a horse and run towards an enemy with a charged attack. Every time you like swing your sword or are about to prepare for an attack swing, the game just slows time so that you can better adjust and hit the target, which previously I found to be a bit more difficult. Again, maybe there's a new setting in there that I'm missing, but this was only the case in the new version of the next gen upgrade. Anyway, this is pretty much it with the new update. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.